You walk into a room full of people you have never met. Within a tenth of a second, your brain has already decided who to trust. You did not choose this. You did not even notice it happening. But the real answer for why this happens is far stranger than simple instinct. It goes back long before language, long before cities, long before anyone thought to ask why a face feels safe or dangerous. Your brain is not reading a stranger, it is reading a pattern. A pattern built over millions of years by ancestors who did not have the luxury of getting it wrong. Think about what that world looked like. Small bands of humans, maybe 30 or 50 people, moving across open land. Every face you knew, you had known for years. A new face meant something had changed. It could mean danger. It could mean opportunity. Your ancestors who paused to figure out which one quickly survived. The ones who hesitated too long did not. That pressure never went away. It just changed clothes. Psychologist Alexander Todorov at Princeton spent years studying exactly this. He showed people photographs of unfamiliar faces for less than a tenth of a second, barely enough time to blink. And still, almost everyone agreed on who looked trustworthy and who did not. The judgments were fast, they were consistent, and here is the strange part. They were often wrong. Wrong, but useful. That is the key. Your brain is not built to be accurate about strangers. It is built to be fast. So what is it actually looking at? Not personality, not honesty. Something much simpler. Symmetry, softness, the angle of the eyebrows, the width of the jaw. Faces with rounder features and slightly raised brows tend to read as warm. Faces with lower brows and sharper angles tend to read as threatening. None of this has anything to do with who the person actually is. You are not judging a stranger. You are matching their face against a template your brain built long before you were born. Where did that template come from? Partly from evolution, partly from your own life. Every face you have ever trusted and every face that ever hurt you gets folded into the same internal average. Psychologist Robert Zions called this the mere exposure effect. The more familiar something feels, even unconsciously, the more your brain rates it as safe. This is why you tend to trust faces that resemble people already in your life. Not because you notice the resemblance, you almost never do. Your brain notices it for you, silently, and hands you a feeling instead of a reason. Feelings arrive first. Reasons get invented after. There is a researcher who proved this in a different way. Nalini Ambadi at Tufts University studied something she called thin slicing, the idea that people form lasting judgments from just a few seconds of exposure. She showed students silent video clips of teachers, only a few seconds long, no sound at all. Then she asked them to rate those teachers. Their ratings matched, almost exactly, the ratings given by students who had sat in that teacher's class for an entire semester. A few seconds. An entire semester. The same conclusion. That should unsettle you a little. It means most of what you call a first impression is not really about the person in front of you. It is about a decision your brain already made before you had time to think. Now push this further back. Why would evolution build a brain that jumps to conclusions this fast? Picture the earliest humans again. A rustle in the grass. A shape at the edge of the firelight. There was no time for careful analysis. There was only time for a guess, and the guess had to happen instantly. The humans who guessed threat first and safety second lived to guess again tomorrow. The ones who paused to gather more evidence sometimes did not. Fear, in other words, was cheap. Curiosity was expensive. This is the counterintuitive twist. You like to think of trust as something earned slowly, through actions and time. But your brain does not work that way at all. It works backward. It decides first, in a flash, and then spends the rest of the interaction looking for evidence to support the decision it already made. That is not weakness. That is design. A brain that waited for full proof before reacting to every stranger would have been a brain that did not last very long in a world full of real threats. But here is where it gets stranger still. This ancient shortcut never updated for the world you live in now. You do not meet 30 people in a lifetime anymore. You meet 30 people before lunch, on a screen, in a feed, in a video call, in a dating app. Your brain still runs the exact same tenth of a second calculation it ran for a caveman, deciding whether to run. It was built for a village. You are asking it to judge a planet. That mismatch explains more of your daily life than you might expect. It explains why a resume photo can quietly shape a hiring decision before a single sentence is read. It explains why certain political candidates are rated as more competent purely from their face before anyone hears them speak. It explains why you can dislike someone the instant they walk into a room for reasons you cannot name and would probably be embarrassed to say out loud. None of this means the feeling is true. It means the feeling is old. There is a modern mirror to all of this, and you have felt it yourself more times than you realize. Think about the last time you scrolled past a stranger's photo online and felt an instant pull, positive or negative, before reading a single word they wrote. That pull was not judgment. It was ancestry, a leftover survival tool firing in a world it was never designed for. Knowing this will not switch the reflex off. You cannot opt out of a tenth of a second, but you can do something almost as powerful. You can notice the moment it happens. You can hold the snap judgment a little more loosely, long enough to let slower, better information catch up. That pause is new. Evolution never had to build it, because evolution never had social media, job interviews conducted over video, or profile photos. You built that pause yourself, and every time you use it, you are doing something your ancestors never had the luxury of doing. You are choosing to think past the first flash of feeling. So the next time a face feels instantly wrong or instantly right, ask yourself a simple question. Is this about them? Or is this a message from somebody who lived a very long time ago, still trying to keep you alive? You walked into a room full of people you had never met, and in a tenth of a second, your brain already decided who to trust. It was not really deciding about them at all. It was still deciding for someone who lived tens of thousands of years before you were born.